Hi everyone, I'm Amy Chow from Coast Capital, and I'm here with accountant and TurboTax spokesperson Susan Watkin. She'll be answering our top tax FAQs today. Thank you for joining us, Susan.
Thanks for having me, Amy. It's so nice to be able to come and talk to you and Coast Capital about taxes for 2020.
So, Susan, what are the most common concerns for individuals who received SERB or CRB or other COVID 19 benefits?
Well, it's the biggest concern that we're seeing is a lot of people are not sure what they have to pay tax on, what was taxable, and what these programs actually mean in terms of their tax returns. So, what we like to say is that SERB and CRB are two different programs, and that was really important for people to understand. When SERB came out, when COVID first hit last year, it was an emergency benefit. We wanted to get money out, the government wanted to get money out to individuals, but this benefit that went out to everybody was not taxed. So there's no taxes withheld from the benefit amount that you received. This benefit has now become CRB, so it's one of the recovery benefits, and the recovery benefits are now taxed at a rate of 10%. So 10% of the benefit that you qualify for is being held back to credit towards your income taxes owing.
So, how would someone know which one they've received?
Well, everybody, obviously, you've applied for particular ones, but when it comes to tax time, you should have received a T slip, okay? And the T slips that you will see this coming year for 2020 and COVID are T4As and T4Es. Now, depending on how you received your benefit last year, so if you applied and received SERB through the CRA, you're going to receive a T4A. If you applied and received SERB through EI program with Service Canada, you will receive a T4E slip.
And how about if you were employed and you worked last year?
Well, this happened to a lot of people. A lot of people were working last year and also collected some SERB benefits, or there was periods of one or the other. What is important for people to know is that when they get their T4 from their employer, which you should have received at this point by now, you will notice that there are potentially 4 extra boxes on your T4. What that is as employers, we are required to report your earnings for the corresponding SERB periods from 2020. So that's the information that's being given there.
So, Susan, with so many Canadians working from home, what are some of the impacts that people should consider?
So yeah, so many people started working from home last year. The CRA created a temporary flat rate method for claiming work from home expenses because these are not typical employment expenses the way we were used to. This new flat rate method allows eligible people to claim a $2 per day amount that they worked from home last year due to COVID to a maximum of $400. So this is provided that the person was working home in 2020 for 4 consecutive weeks, 50% of the time due to COVID. So the flat rate method is to kind of make it easier for us rather than having to fill out a lot of forms, have backup documents, calculate our space. This is just a temporary method, but it's only good for 2020.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, is there anything new in this tax season that we should know about?
Well, and that's a really good question. A lot of people ask me that, what's new? And our legislation, our tax rules don't change a ton year over year. We might have a few tweaks and things like that. What I like to tell people is it's not so much about the tax rules, it's about what changed for you. Because your life, everything in your life that happens or changes does have some kind of connection to tax. So whether you got married last year or divorced, you've had children, you've moved, you went back to school, all of these have some tax implications for you. So you have to look at what happened to me in 2020, because this could change what I qualify for on my taxes. This could change what I'm allowed to claim on my taxes. And especially when it comes around to our employment income, our benefits that we've received, because some of these benefits that we can get are related to our income level.
All right, Susan. So, what about British Columbians? Is there anything specific for BC residents that they might need to know about for this tax year?
Well, Amy, there's nothing specific, but there's just a couple of things that it is good to know as a BC tax filer. So, of course, there is the BC Climate Action Tax Credit. Now, you don't really have to do anything with this tax credit. You don't have to apply for it. It's all part of your tax return. And if you do qualify for the credit, you will get that as part of your payment for the GST HST credit. There were some changes. The BC Child Opportunity Benefit was replaced by the BC Early Childhood Tax Credit. That's something that's kind of important to know. Also, when it comes specifically to taxes, we saw a new tax rate come in, so a seventh level, and that would be for income over $220,000, your taxable income. So there's a new tax rate that was created for that in 2020. And with that new tax rate, we also see that with any charitable donations that are over $200, they will be calculated using this new tax rate, which is 20.5%.
And what advice would you have from those people who might have gone from employed to unemployed and now maybe self-employed?
This happened quite a bit last year. We saw a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people were unemployed, but then a lot of people did go to self-employment. So they started these side gigs, or they decided, now's the time to start my own business. And that's fantastic, coming up with something you're passionate about and turning it into a business. What I like to make sure that these new small business owners know is they have to understand now their new responsibilities. Being a business owner is very different from being an employee. You have other requirements of you from the government. It's a big step for people, but there is ways to keep hold of it. There's some really great programs we recommend for people that are just starting out. We've got QuickBooks Self-Employed or QuickBooks Online. This will help people track their expenses, make sure they're ready for tax time. And of course, when it comes time to do your taxes, if you are newly self-employed, this is where you could take advantage of getting support through our TurboTax Live assist and review for self-employed individuals, where a tax expert is going to help you answer some of these questions and make sure you're getting everything in there where you need to be.
So when are all these taxes due? When should we get them done, and how should we be doing them?
That's a really important question. That's the money question, right? So we have a couple of deadlines. If for individuals, your deadline is April 30th. April 30th is also the day that all your taxes owing are due. So those of you though that have become self-employed, doing a self-employed tax return, which is not much different from doing a personal tax return. There's just the addition of a form called the T2125, Statement of Business or Professional Activities. Adding this form, what that means is you're submitting all your information on your business, but this tax return is not due until June 15th. However, if you owe money, it is still due on April 30th. So there's a couple deadlines, so you have to keep that straight, and you want to make sure that you are filing on time. So even if you can't make payments, you owe money, please just make sure that you do get those filed.
Mm-hmm. So I do hear a lot about filing early. Is that something I should do, or is it possible for me to wait kind of till the deadline?
No, I highly recommend, and I know a lot of people do. They do recommend filing early because there's a couple of reasons. So one, if you've got a refund coming to you, it'd be nicer to have that sooner than later versus waiting and leave it there. And also, if you're ready to go, get it done. It's one of those things, get it off your plate, put it behind you and file. Also, we have benefits that many of us can qualify for depending on our income, depending on our personal situations, that require our previous year's tax return to be submitted. So the CRA can analyze it, see what you qualify for, and make sure those benefits start being paid out on time. So the later you are with remitting your tax return, there could potentially be delays, and you don't want those types of delays, especially if you're waiting for those types of benefits.
No, that's great. So I guess the most important question now is how? How do we get them done?
Yeah, so 2020 was quite the year. There's a lot of stuff that was going on for a lot of people, a lot of change. And a lot of people may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to dealing with all of these changes, with these new benefits, and getting their taxes done on time. So it's understandable that this might be the time where people are looking towards professionals to get some help in getting their taxes completed. Well, this is exactly where TurboTax Live Full Service fits in. With TurboTax Live Full Service, we have TurboTax tax experts with an average of 10 years experience that can take all of that tax information for you and make sure to get your tax return done completely start to finish so that they can help you maximize those deductions and minimize any of that taxes owing. and you're going to be able to file with support for 2020.
That is some really great advice. Thank you again, Susan Watkins, accountant and TurboTax spokesperson, joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.